Welcome to Community Tonight, a new series part of the UNR Network. On today's show, we'll be discussing whether or not the UNR's mass messaging program has a positive or negative effect on the Halo Clan community. I'm your host, iSpartanFilms, and joining me live in the studio today is LingLing Killer, President of the United Nations Republic, and Puffffffy J UHR, a political division commander of OCOMOS. I'd like to welcome you both to the show today. It's a pleasure to have you on. So first things first, I do have a slight cold today. You'll have to figure that out. Should be okay though. And for those of you who are not familiar with the UNR's Mass Messaging Program, or MMP, it's essentially a tool created by the UNR's own web dev team. And when activated, it attempts to systematically collect as many gamer tags as possible registered on Xbox Live. Then, using multiple accounts, it sends a short recruitment message to each of the gamer tags it's collected, encouraging the recipients to visit the UNR's websites and consider joining the clan. Some things to consider about this are that users can simply ignore or delete the message if they're not interested. However, because the system does attempt to send the recruitment message to as many gamer tags as possible, members from other clans may receive this message without warning. So, the first thing I'd like to do is just get your initial thoughts. So, Puffy, let's start with you.
Alrighty, thanks for having me on the show again, guys. It's a great opportunity. So let's start off with the legality in terms of the code of conduct and the terms of use. Now, the OCOMOS position and policy is that we want the discontinuation of MP due to the fact that it would break the terms of use for Xbox Live, section 1.9, points 5 and 8. Now, again, multiple people have talked to Microsoft personnel, and although there are conflicting reports of whether or not it could result in console bans, we don't want to see that. We think the UNR is a great asset to the community, and we don't want to have any issues whatsoever. But the fact remains that we are going to remain steadfast in our position that this thing is not going to be productive to the entire community.
And LingLing Killer, what about you? What are your thoughts about this? I know that you're the president of the clan, so obviously you're in support of it, but what do you have to say about the fact that it could possibly be breaking the terms of use?
Well, Puffy, I'm very glad that you brought that up. If you don't mind, I'd like to access quote another part of the Xbox Live terms of use. Section 2.2, who can access my content? All right, it says very clearly in here, you control who may access your content. All right, Microsoft and anyone who you have shared content with may use that content. All right, in the Xbox Live settings, everybody has the ability to block their friends. All right, and this service will not be able to access their friends or anybody like that if they use that feature. By keeping their setting to everyone, okay, it's not friends only, because we're not friends with a lot of these people, to everyone, they are consenting. It says that very clearly, just as you quoted in the text. Second, we would not be getting console banned or anything like that. The accounts that we're using to send the messages are not on our consoles. They are not affiliated with my account or any of my web dev team's accounts. They are entirely separate. If anything, if Microsoft finds this a nuisance, they may ban those accounts, and it will be a very clear indicator to both me and the rest of the community that this is not something that Microsoft will allow to happen. But with the quotes that Joe Rose and other supporters against the MMP project have provided, it does not clearly state that Microsoft is going to start running in and banning everybody who's associated with this. In fact, I would like to bring that up, if you don't mind. Can you please explain what Joe Rose meant by that? I'd like to directly quote one of Joe Rose's, what he quoted from one of the Xbox Live employees. And this is the exact quote he provided. Yes, it is against the code of conduct in the same sense that it is harassment. These types of programs are commonly known as message bombers. Now, he did not take screenshots of the entire conversation like the rest of the supporters of the MMP project did. He took a very, very, very biased quote out, a very small section of what they were saying, in broken grammar, might I add. So either he's cutting that out of a larger sentence, or it's complete bullshit that is even from a Microsoft employee. How do we know that that's what this is from? All he's doing is quoting it. So I provided you with a section of terms of use, just like you have, that we have every right to do this. Sure, it may be frowned upon, as one of the other Xbox Live ambassadors said, it's frowned upon. But if Microsoft truly feels that this is a threat, they will take the appropriate action. It is not anybody else in the community's place to do so. And this cowardly attack that OCOMOS is doing by reporting UNR to Microsoft and going behind our backs while you and I, Dakota, were in political negotiations to maybe find a middle ground is downright disgusting.
I agree with you in regards to what you were saying about the terms of use and how Microsoft will take the appropriate action if necessary if they find that this is indeed a threat. But what I'm going to quote is that Microsoft, like I was saying in section 1.9, it says, you must not use the service to harm others or the service. For example, you must not enable unauthorized third-party applications to access the services. Now, because you would be either using this over Xbox Live or Xbox.com, my question is this an unauthorized third-party application that you guys have been using?
I believe that it would be qualified as such, yes, because we are the ones who have developed it. It's not a third-party service as such as some of them have been claiming, like Joe Rose, that we're using XboxAPI.com or any of those sites. We're not using those. This is built completely from scratch, but I guess it would classify technically as a third-party support, yeah.
Did you get any explicit confirmation from Microsoft that you have the ability to use this program?
We have the ability to use it, yes. They have stated that they frown upon this sort of thing and that it is not okay with them. They do not like people doing it, but that it would not immediately result in a console ban or a ban of any kind. There have been so many, or terms of use, excuse me, there have been so many clans out there that violate this thing almost daily. Mods are rampant on Halo Reach. They've used mods all the time. They're always using mods, right, for their games, for their clan activities. That's against Microsoft terms of use.
I wouldn't say all of them are using mods. They're definitely present, but I wouldn't say they're all using mods.
All right. A large majority are using mods. All right. From what, in my opinion, from what I've seen, are you going to go and report every single clan for using mods? Or I believe another clause in this one in the Code of Conduct says that you can't bully or harass people. I know clans that bully and harass each other all the time. Are you going to go report all of those guys to Microsoft? When people have been doing much worse for years, such as booting people offline, tampering with connections, using mods in-game, do you not think that those are large problems, that those are threats?
Oh, without a doubt in my mind, those are threats. And those are something that need to be dealt with accordingly. But right now, OCOMOS has the opportunity to prevent another one from occurring. Now, do I think that this program is a threat to the community? No. But the fact remains that it is and would only be in your hands, as you have assured me of. And I don't believe that that is fair. I think that with the proper oversight and the removal of the automated process, that this thing could be of benefit to the community in such a great way that we could see activity levels go right up to how they were back in the golden days.
If I can just jump in there for a minute, removing the automatic process is sort of the whole point of the mass messaging system. If you remove the automatic part, it's not really mass, it's manual, it's just by hand.
And let me add, by the way, that the only automated part of this entire program is the obtaining of gamer tags. That is it. And let me remind you, all of that is completely public. And by the way, the UNR a couple of days ago announced that after a meeting, we decided to delegate 60 to 70% of these messages and create an entirely new program. Okay, we're calling it the Community Map Project. 60 to 70% of these people would be getting a message saying, hey, come check out this website to join a Halo clan, or something along the lines of that. And on this website, we'll have all sorts, it's an interactive map, and it will have all sorts of icons representing a bunch of different clans for people to click on, see basic details, the YouTube channels, the Twitters, the Facebooks, all of their information that they may need, and decide by themselves whether or not they wanted to join. All right, we're creating programs like that because the community has spoken and shown concern, just like yours. And we want to address that. I want to remind everyone that we could have easily just said, oh, you have a problem with this? No, screw it. I don't care. Go ahead, report me to Microsoft. I don't give a shit. I'm going to go do this anyway because I don't care what you say. No.
Well, one thing I want to ask you is why, if you say this is something that's possible for this to be applied to the whole community, why isn't that being the primary use as this MMP is being rolled out? Why isn't that message being, look at these clans, go to this website on Weebly or something and have that list? Why is it in this first iteration? Why is it only for the UNR?
Because in the very first part of it, we were not thinking of making this for the community. This was something for the UNR. And then we found out, hey, we could actually do this large scale. We could be sending out, gather gamer tags everywhere without even having to go into matchmaking, being able to bring in people into the community who have never even heard of it or never even thought about joining a clan, campaign people, possibly bringing more clans, more blood, and more people into the community. I mean, look at the original United Nations. Look at their media, right? They had a giant media and it brought in tons of people, okay? But the UN ended up being a revolving door. People joined the UN, got a basic feel for what clans were like, and then left to go start their own and go join other clans. And that is essentially what a lot of people would agree kickstarted the Halo military clan community, what we're in right now. Okay? How is this any different? This is exactly the same. I mean, instead of using media, we're using an automated program.
Well, it's different because it's only directing people to the UNR's websites and assets, not...
But it was the exact same with the UN, was it not?
It was, yes.
So, I mean, you could conceivably draw a connection. Now, did all the clans back then say, hey, we should have the UN remove some of their videos because they're just getting way too many recruits. Their videos are too popular and it's not giving us a chance to thrive? No, they kicked up their media. They said, you know what? I'm going to make something just as good, if not better. Made their own video, made their own recruitment stuff, and it helped bring the community. The community is like capitalism. Whoever has the best ideas and ability to innovate is always at the top. We're not going to stifle our innovation because other people can't keep up.
Well, I want to know what Puffy thinks. Do you think that this MMP is just innovation, or do you think it's something else?
Oh, I wholeheartedly believe that it's an innovative program, and that's the heart of the community. We need to innovate. But the fact is that people like Will and other more influential members of the community are examples to the newer members. Now, we can't be going about saying that, you know what, we're going to break the rules and we don't care what anybody thinks about that. We have to be models for the future of our community, for the next generation. And while my personal opinion may differentiate from those of my colleagues, the fact remains the same that multiple articles of the terms of use are against this program. And unless there's more manual oversight, then OCOMOS will not accept any other table or anything.
Now, OCOMOS has been assembling a political coalition, is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, how do you expect these political clans to stand with you, right, and be a part of your political coalition to trust Joe Rose, the white knight of the community, when he has been practically lying straight to their face?
Whether that may be, and I don't know the full story. Again, like I said, I just come back. I just joined OCOMOS. What I know is that there are a lot of people who have spoken their minds to both Joe and I that want to see changes to this program, more drastic, more radical changes, so that it is more beneficial and it is more fair, per se, on the terms of use. So, assembling the coalition of clans, that was purely for support. We're not trying to plan anything. OCOMOS is not a military organization. We're a political force. We deal in policy. We deal in diplomacy. We deal in bureaucracy. That's what we are good at. That's what I am good at. You know that. So we're not here to say that if you don't do this, we're going to attack you. That's not our objective. Our objective is to come to a mutually beneficial agreement so that the community can prosper in a better way while this program can still, in some aspects, remain active.
All right. Now, I'd like to explain real quick just what I meant by saying when I said Joe Rose lied to people's faces, because I don't want people to get the wrong impression. Multiple of these supporters, as you claim, have contacted me personally and told me about, and this is how I knew that Joe Rose was going behind my back, because they contacted me and said, hey, by the way, Joe Rose is, saying stuff, letting us know about this whole program, and they were opposed to it 100%. I found out that the version that Joe Rose, or Costemos, had been telling them was completely biased and completely untruthful. He had left out the part about the community map. Nobody knew about that. He left out the part about the fact that we can remove gamer tags off of the list. Nobody knew about that. He left out several key facts that justify this program, that talk about how beneficial this could be to the community, not just for the UNR, but for everybody. So please explain to me how people are supposed to trust you when you guys deliberately lie like that.
Well, the fact is that maybe I'm speaking in a completely hypothetical term here. Maybe Joe didn't even have all the information. Me personally, I spend a lot of time on the Halo pages on Facebook. I know your statuses, I know your updates, and I've seen it. And let me tell you that even some of our supporters are glad that these changes have been made. Now, should people trust OCOMOS? Absolutely. Our objective is not to be malicious in any way. We don't have any negative intentions. We just want to see a balanced, fair, stable community. And we don't believe that the MMP can actually obtain that for us.
Now, can you explain why you don't think that will obtain it? I mean, what exactly is the main concern here? I remember one of them that Joe Rose said was that Microsoft was going to come into the community and start cracking down on other clans because of this. Like, how does that even make sense? He's leaving crucial facts out like that I know he saw because he's commented on those posts. So there's no way. The only possible thing he could have missed is the community map. And that's understandable because it was a recent development. But if OCOMOS is so out of touch in their information and their intelligence to where they can't even keep up on such a huge, radical update to the program and let the people know, how are people supposed to be part of your coalition and support you when the information they're going to be getting is completely out of date? Okay, that is why I refuse to deal with OCOMOS or negotiate with them anymore after that whole incident where Joe Rose went behind my back. It's just dirty politics, bad negotiations, and like you said, if that's your guys' specialty, I don't want to know what's going on internally. No offense intended, but this sort of dysfunction is not good for a coalition, it's not good for a leader, and it's most certainly not good as opposition to a program that could help save this community. Please justify that.
Well, let me be clear on a few aspects. I do not believe that OCOMOS is as stable as it could be. And I'm fine with openly admitting that. As its chief political commander, I understand that there needs to be more unity, more cooperation within the organization and with our allies so that we can better understand the community. With that being said, though, you and I, we've talked. You and I have been perfectly clear. We cleared up our past. We're good on that. Right now, we're dealing with this issue in a completely professional manner. Now, politics is a dirty game. That's just how it is. You have backroom dealings all the time. It doesn't matter how you have to get things done. You have to prepare for what could happen. Any eventuality needs to be prepared for. And that's what OCOMOS was doing by trying to gather support. If my negotiations with you failed, then the political sanctions and embargoes would occur, and we would have the support of community members with that. That was the only thing. We weren't trying to gather people to go to war or preemptively strike the UNR. We were just trying to maintain some level of awareness internally so that we can make sure we're ready for anything.
All right.
Is that clear?
Yes, that's very clear, and thank you for clearing up some of that stuff. But the fact that backroom politics exist, I mean, I've been in politics for years now, right, in clan politics, I'm well aware of how this stuff works. All right. However, the fact that we were going to reach a mutual agreement to hold off on campaigning on the project, to say, you know what, let's take a minute, talk privately, see if we can resolve this issue without making it a huge community thing, and then to that agreement to be completely violated, why should I continue to negotiate with OCOMOS? Sure, backroom politics may be part of the job, but that doesn't mean that it is not a dirty and shameful practice that should not be conducted by somebody who is claiming to be saving the community from one of the biggest threats that it's ever seen. But to get back on topic, I don't understand why OCOMOS is so radically opposed to this, to where they can't even reach a middle ground. I mean, you said that you were sent to reach a middle ground, but Joe Rose is completely adamant in his stance that no matter what, this will hurt the community unless we completely disassemble the program entirely. No matter what we do, even though we completely repurposed it almost entirely, into a community recruitment tool.
And no, that's an exceptionally fair point. And I'll be the first to admit I was extremely disappointed and angry at the fact that Joe decided he was going to post and would rather have everybody know about it rather than the fact that this should remain private. Trust me on this, and I swear on my grandmother's urn, we do not want a war. We don't. It's not in our agenda. All we want is to see a stabilized community. Now, in regards to Joe not being able to come on here, I don't know the exact reasons. I just got the comment from you, and that happened. We agreed. I came on. I'm happy to be here. I think this is a great opportunity, and we're talking now. So what I'm asking is, besides the fact that there may be concerns with regards to trusting OCOMOS and other maybe minute interests, the facts remain that the MMP is in breach of the terms of use in multiple points in the entire terms of use.
Just like to add that I did just get a text from Joe Rose saying that apparently he was on a 14-hour standing security shift and forgot his iPod Touch power cable, which is why he was not able to come on the show. So if that's his reason, I understand, but it still does not justify the fact that he will refuse to even talk with me. In fact, here earlier it says at 3:16 a.m. this morning, it said, to make it clear, OCOMOS talks are over. Talk to the movement through Dakota. That's it. That's all he said. So he's refusing to talk about it at all. I mean, I've been more than reasonable in negotiating with ORDA, SF, General Chair at UHR. I think they would all agree that I was more than reasonable, that we were able to reach a logical and fair middle ground for everybody. So I do not understand why Joe Rose cannot do the same. I apologize, Dakota, if I'm getting too much in here. But I would like to clarify some of the points of the program to a lot of people who were misinformed or not aware of it in the first place. What the MMP program does, right, our mass messaging program, it scans users' friends list. All right, so if your friends list is not open, it will scan it, and it will take the gamer tags on their friends list and add it to a database. All right, it will then take those usernames and continue to scan them if they're open, and continue until we've compiled a reasonable list of gamer tags. Right now we have about 2 million, and we're going to narrow that list down to only people who have played Master Chief Collection, so that we do not get more attention to the program, right, and get Microsoft cracking down on the community, even though I don't see why that would be relevant, as much as possible to avoid that, and to only get people who are going to be interested in something like this, all right, so that we do not disturb or harass anybody. We then send a message. We can send 5,000 messages a day. And these are sent through Xbox Live, through UNR Central Command accounts, just normal. It's not any, hacking or JTagging, anything with our console that allows us to send more than the limit that they've put on. So 5,000 a day through several accounts. And then that continues until it's sent one message. It will not repeat. If it detects, hey, if I've sent a message to this account, it will not send another one. We've also diverted a ton of resources towards a new project where, like I stated earlier in the video, it will contain a list, an interactive map. So it's going to look very nice, going to be very innovative. It's not just going to be like a list on Weebly of all sorts of clans, their general information, the logo, contact information, all that sort of stuff. And we're going to divert 60 to 70% of the messages towards that. So we're taking a huge chunk out of our messages. We're going to divert 60 to 70% of the messages towards that. So we're taking a huge chunk out of our messages. You have to remember, we didn't get any help from anybody in the community. This was our technology. We created it, and now we are diverting a huge flow of the potential recruits towards other clans. I mean, if that doesn't show how willing we are to negotiate and be reasonable in helping you guys, then I don't know what will. And I also want to say, we're no stranger to controversy, okay? This is not the first time we've had to deal with a situation like this, and it is not because I am intimidated or threatened by OCOMOS or anybody else. We're not going to respond to anything like that, okay? We're doing this purely because we want the community to succeed just as much as us. That is as much as I can say on that issue. If you have any further questions or you would like to submit your information to be put on the map, please feel free to contact me on Xbox, Facebook, Skype, anything like that. All right? Just post in the description. I'll link you to all my contact information.
So let's do a little bit of an overview. So a couple weeks ago, I assume it was a couple weeks because we started negotiations in February, I believe. I'm not too sure.
I don't know if it was all the way back in February, but yeah, sure.
Okay, so a couple weeks ago, you announced to the community as just as a precautionary warning that you have been developing a program known as the mass messaging program, and it is designed to send a massive amount of messages, one message per gamer tag, over the course of as long as you need. I asked you the question, would you, if the account got banned, discontinue the program?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's my question. I didn't ask.
If the accounts got banned, would we discontinue?
Would you discontinue the program if Microsoft? Yes.
I'm not going to make any sort of promises that we will discontinue or even launch the program. I mean, I want to make clear that this program is done. We could launch it in 5 minutes if we wanted to. The only reason we are holding off is because the community has shown that they want us to make changes. Okay. To sum it up, not get into a big long spiel about it, essentially, if the accounts got banned, we would look very seriously into canceling the program, but I'm not going to make a promise that we would or wouldn't at this time.
Now, I would like to, not a direct quote, but I remember looking at a post on Facebook the other day, and it said that if the account that you were using got banned, that you would create another account and use the program on that and continue so forth. Now, this is clearly visible on Facebook. I forget which page, and I'll comment it.
No, I remember making that.
Yeah. So my question is how is such a disregard to the terms of use acceptable to a person that's seen as an example to the community and as a leader for the past 3-4 years?
3 years.
3 years. I don't see how that is acceptable to the members of the community. And I'll be completely honest, Will, you've made some great points. And that, without a shadow of a doubt, do I agree with you on some of them. But the fact remains that is it a breach of the terms of use? Yes, it is. How many articles is it breach? Numerous. What we need to know is that if this program goes out of hand, and this is one of my personal concerns that I first, and I'll reiterate it again, I first said on the original post, was that if it fell into the wrong hands, that we could be looking at mass propaganda. It could be turned into a weapon. This is a hypothetical here. If the UNR were to go into a civil war, and your media team, who had control of this device, were to split, you'd be looking at propaganda on a massive scale to...
I just want to clarify really quick. The media team, which is me and one other person, we have no influence over the MMP whatsoever. That would be the web dev team you're talking about.
Yeah,
web dev
two
team.
Separate sections of the UNR staff.
Sorry, okay. So web dev team, okay. So if they were to split, per se, okay, how can we be assured that this program is protected? How can we be assured that nobody can, with negative intentions, will get their hands on this program? We are not guaranteed whatsoever, and that's a concern that I have, that maybe many other people have.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
Okay. Now, you have a good point with that, but I would like to, answer, if the only people that have access to this tool is me and one other person, the UNR's main web developer, Seth. I've known him for almost over 2 years now. All right, we're fantastic friends. I know a lot about him in real life. I highly doubt that he would ever split off from the UNR for any reason whatsoever. And even if he did, he would not be involved with another clan. He was brought in outside of the clan community. He's aware there are other clans out there, but he's barely involved in any other types of clans or even interested in leading clans. I can not see that happening at all. But then again, your argument, which is a good one, is flawed in itself because what would it matter? I mean, if this sort of program, if I was able to do it, other people would be able to do it as well, right? Now, what you're saying is what happens if it gets into the wrong hands, all right? That's a good point. But that sort of preemptive thinking, while a good brain teaser, is not entirely preventable. Okay, there's an infinite chance that eventually someone would create something similar like this, if not the exact same thing, if I didn't. Okay, so why not have it be in the hands of me, right? Someone who's being reasonable about this and show a good example that we can negotiate and we can come to an agreement on stuff like this and not just be radicals where it's all ultimatums, yes or no. Because that's what you're saying, is put it in the hands of someone who says yes or I won't do this. I want to do this. I don't care what other people say. Isn't that the exact same?
That's not what I'm saying at all.
Okay, well, can you elaborate then?
What I'm saying is that there needs to be more oversight. And I'm going to bring up a point to counter your point. Nobody thought I would leave UHR. Nobody thought that Achilles or I would have a falling out. We did, and it became very nasty, and we're still not talking to this day. Now, the chances of that happening, no matter how close of a friend you are, and you know what, it may be 1 in a million, but the fact is that you need to prepare for every single possibility. If you don't, then you could be caught off guard and you won't know what the hell you're doing. You could be just twiddling your dick in the middle of the street. That's what it's like. I've been there. I've seen it. I've done it. It's not a matter of thinking about, okay, well, this guy's got this, so something bad's going to come out of it. No, it's a matter of what possibilities could stem from this original topic, and from what we've weighed at OCOMOS, there are more negatives than there are positives. And although I may not personally agree with some of them, they outnumber the positives in a vast majority. There are so many different things that could happen if this fell into the wrong hands. Like I said, mass propaganda. Here's something that troubles me too. I remember you quoting, I'm going to quote that you said 72,000 messages could be sent at one time, correct?
If I quoted that, then I must have either misunderstood it at that time, which was early in development, or you must be misinterpreting what I'm saying, because no, we cannot send 72,000 messages at one time. Now, hypothetically, if I was to create enough Xbox Live accounts, we could send that many messages in one day. But we cannot send that many at a time unless I was to make like something crazy like 72 accounts.
No, understandable completely. But, let's just think of it like this. If you were to have those 72 accounts and every single message you sent out got a reply that these people want to join the UNR, you would be in complete disarray. You'd be flustered. You wouldn't know what to do with 72,000.
It actually doesn't work that way. The accounts themselves can't detect messages. It links them to a web page, an application, and if they decide to, they can go to the application. But whatever messages they send to the accounts will be completely lost because we won't know what they are.
Okay, so then let me rephrase that. If every single message you send out gets a member in the UNR or a potential recruit, you're looking at 72,000 recruits.
Right.
Now, I'm no expert, but I don't think there's ever been 72,000 members in a single clan on Halo ever.
Probably not.
No. And the UNR, you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are probably just coming out of a rebuilding phase. You're reorganized. You're finding new members. I don't know how many members you have. I really don't need to know that. But I can guarantee 110% that the amount of members you have cannot train 72,000 men.
Well, just real quick, if I can jump in, I don't want to interrupt you or anything like that, but our structure actually doesn't work like that. We have a structure of detachments, and there's a limited amount, and each detachment has a limited amount of spaces. So once we've reached a certain amount of people in the clan, literally, no matter how much we want them in the clan or no matter what, we cannot bring them into the clan. Once every single detachment is filled up with members, that's it. No matter how well trained they are, or no matter how good intentioned these recruits are, they will never be able to get into the UNR until somebody leaves. And I can assure you, it's well under 72,000. Well under 1,000.
What's the original purpose? Originally, the MMP was designed specifically for the UNR. Now, if all your detachments are filled in, say, two more days, let's just say hypothetically, you fill your detachments in 2 days, right, and you still launched the MMP. What use does it have for you besides being able to expand your influence over people that may not be able to know what's going on in the general population of the community? We need to think about that.
Well, we actually have thought about that, and the system that we were thinking, and you have to keep in mind that this was early development, before we were actually intending to send it out yet, before we were, at even close to that phase, is when you're taking these conclusions from, right? We developed many more safeguards and precautions since then. But the main purpose on that is once they filled out an application, let's say all the attachments are full, right? We'd flip a switch on our CENTCOM panel, right? Hypothetically, obviously. And what it would do is once they've gotten to that page, it would say, we're sorry, but the UNR is currently full. Please check back later if, you're still interested and see if there's a spot open, right? And then under that, it would have a list of a ton of different clans in the community for these people to go to. Or let's say they did make it past the application stage and washed out at the boot camp, which 80% do. We would direct them towards another clan, like, for example, UHR or UFF or UUF or NAVCOM or any of these other clans. We had an entire list so that these people were not only just going to come into the UNR, because realistically, do you really think that we would have wanted 2 million people in our clan? That's outrageous. It's unrealistic. It's ridiculous. That was not our intention. Our intention was to get people aware of the UNR and the clan community, and if they were not able to make it into the UNR, help spread those recruits into more people. The entire purpose was to not only get a bigger name for the UNR out there, but a bigger name for the community in general so we could bring more people in.
Now, here's my question. How can the community be assured that you will proceed with this community work that you are saying you're doing and truly benefit any clan that requests it? How can we be assured that that's going to happen? We can't. It's your word. It's he says, she says. That's all it is.
Can you elaborate? I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
What I'm saying is that we have no evidence that proves you will go through with what you say in regards to helping bringing back popularity to the community. We don't have
in regards to the community map?
In regards to the community map and whatever website, whatever that is.
No,
we don't have
to be public. You are aware of this, right?
No, I'm completely aware of that.
So people can visit and make sure that their clans are on there and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah, that's not the issue. But what the issue is that you're still using a private account that has no oversight from a body of the community whatsoever to be realistically optimistic about you doing this. If it were up to me, I would implement an agency that has no power whatsoever, but just oversight, so that it makes sure that every clan has a fair chance at getting the most members they can while remaining stable.
Now, can I ask you a question real quick? Can I just jump in here? First of all, how realistically will an agency like this, is this supposed to be formed? Okay, first question. And second question, who's going to be in this agency? Because as we all know, there's plenty of people in the community who we once thought were trustworthy who ended up being horrible people. And if we give them access to our restricted intelligence in this regard, our restricted programs, like you said earlier, how can we be sure that this isn't going to get into the wrong hands? I could easily pretend to be an upstanding member of the community, get into the agency, get access to the program, and end up using it for my own means. How does that go into your agency?
That's the thing. The members of the agency don't have any direct access to the program. Since you and your web dev team have developed it, it's your sole property. And since you've already said that you would do these things for the community, which will get people on your side, and it's a very strategic move. And I personally applaud it because it is something that's far more progressive than others have offered. But there's no guarantee that you will go through with sending those messages to people on that massive scale. So, in essence, we could be looking at a website that has zero activity, besides from the people that know it. And what good is that going to do for clans?
So, now let me ask you something. Like I stated before, we have a member cap. Okay. Why on earth, first of all, why would I tarnish my public reputation, right, my trustworthiness in the community by saying that I'm going to do something extremely publicly all over the place, right? Letting almost everybody in the community know and then not go through with it and divert tons of resources towards making this elaborate community map that looks really nice and has great functionality. Why would I go through so much effort and divert so much resources just so that I could not use it? That doesn't make sense. As I've stated, we can't handle that many recruits. We are literally unable to take in that many recruits because our structure doesn't work like that. So why would I be sending the message to the tons of other people? Why wouldn't I be being productive and sending a clan recruitment message for the community, like I stated, to help increase activity, because I may have all the members in the world. If there's not another clan out there that I can, fight with or negotiate with or be involved with in any way, the point is pretty moot. Don't you agree?
That depends in certain aspects. Let's think of it like this. Why did I tarnish my reputation within the community? Why did I do that? Why did I go through with things, do things that I knew were going to be destructive in the long run? Why would I do such a thing?
I don't know.
Because we thought we were helping. We thought that we were doing good. I thought I was doing good. And whether or not that's a fact, that's in the past now. I can't change that. But the fact is that today we have an opportunity at our helm, which is the MMP. And what I'm saying is that practically at the end of the day, we're all human beings. Whether it's over Xbox Live or not, human nature, humans in general are selfish. It's just how we are. It's nothing personal, and I've made that abundantly clear, but it's just how we act. We act in our own best interest, and when we don't, there's usually something that benefits us in the long run. Is that not true?
No, I mean, let's drop the hypotheticals for a moment, okay? Because I can make a hypothetical that says, I'm going to destroy every clan in the community because eventually those clans may develop something like the mass recruitment program, only instead of sending a message, it sends a deadly virus that blows up their Xbox. So I'm going to declare war on everybody. That's essentially what you're doing, okay? These hypotheticals are not relevant. I mean, we can't eliminate every single situation. All right, you can't say that you're going to kill yourself, right? Because eventually one day something might happen, something bad might happen to you. So you're not going to bother to go through with that at all anyway, because might as well just get rid of it now. No point in even trying. That's what you're saying, and the fact is that your logic there doesn't make sense.
Oh, I'm not implying that at all. What I'm implying is that we all are human beings, and we all have a certain nature to us. We all have one thing in common, and that is our basic founding mentality. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm trying to point out. And what I'm implying is not that you want to do anything to harm the community. What I'm implying is that there's a basic human nature in play in every single dealing that involves any member of this community, and that's just because of our genes. That's just because of how we are raised. That's because we're human beings. We're selfish.
Well, if I can interrupt you really quick, would you not say that your solution to this that I think you've proposed already would be to have some sort of oversight on this to correct this apparent problem of human nature? Is that what you would suggest?
Right. What I'm suggesting, it's not that humans can't be trusted. What I'm suggesting is that there's always something at play in the back.
Well, that doesn't really answer the question.
Now, what that is,
you're essentially just rephrasing it. Yeah, that is exactly what your suggestion. That is exactly what you are suggesting, Dakota. You were just rephrasing it.
I'm suggesting that although that our mentality is at play, that people can be trusted, and that with the proper oversight, with people we know we can trust, whether it be small clan leaders or massive clan leaders such as yourself, it doesn't matter. The fact is that.
Well, then what's to stop them from becoming selfish and wanting to try and take over the MMP? What's to stop them?
What's to stop them?
What's to stop the people?
What's to stop them?
What's to stop the people in the agency who are overseeing us not being corrupt from getting corrupt?
It's called democracy, my friend, and if implemented properly, it's so great.
Now, can you explain what you mean by democracy? Because, I mean, it seems like you're just throwing out, words at this point. They don't have any meaning or relevance to the situation.
No, this is what I mean by an oversight agency.
Supposed to help
the agency, in my mind, would be no more, no less than maybe 6 members. So a group of people. Now, whether or not the first people are elected or chosen, the fact is that there should be a rotation every month of new individuals. That way, to ensure the security of both your clan and the community, we know that nobody has the ability to use the program, just to look at it, just to see if you're doing what you've promised.
It's what you're suggesting is a great idea, right? It's like communism. Great idea, right? Great idea, but it doesn't work. Okay, it does not work. And here's why your agency will not work. Not because I'm worried that you guys are getting onto my secret plans or anything like that. It is because the messages are not sent physically. Okay, it is not like somebody is typing in on Xbox.com, blah, 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 join UNR, and then sending the message to 250 people that he added to the recipient list. That is not what is happening. This is all behind the scenes. This is all server-based. Okay, ones and zeros, lines of code. By giving somebody oversight into this project that is not in the UNR, be it myself or my main web designer, Seth, that's essentially they would have access to the program, could copy and paste all of the code, and then go create their own mass messaging program whenever they want it. Okay? Now, democracy is awesome. I love democracy. I live in America. Okay? My clan is a democracy. I'm elected every 4 months. How many other clan leaders can say the same? Right? Okay? I love democracy. But democracy poses a huge security risk, okay? Especially when you're talking about people in the community who have no idea how to work this program, have no knowledge of code, and no malicious intents. You know how narrow of a subject base that is? That's extremely narrow, if anybody at all. How can we trust that they don't have malicious intents? We can't. I cannot provide oversight because that whole idea of it is just, it doesn't make sense. It's not realistic. It will not be able to happen unless we give people access to the raw code. And if we're giving them access to the raw code, they will have the ability to say, fuck it, I don't like UNR, copy and paste, make their own program. And all of a sudden, your little hypothetical situation where you're saying, well, what if people get their hands on this and it's bad for the community, will be a reality.
That's a fair point. I'm completely with you on that. But I trust
the fact remains, I'm sorry. The fact remains, all right, that this is the UNR's property. This is our product. And while we are making every attempt possible to work with the community and to give them, a chance to have a say in this program, we do not have to do shit. We can say tough fucking luck, take it or leave it. We're not going to say that because that's not right, okay? But I need you to understand that we have not developed this for the community, okay? This is not a matter of how much oversight, how little oversight should be there, or what is fair, okay? This is not fair. The community is a capitalist community. Whoever is able to be the most innovative and the most creative and get it done is the one who's at the top, okay? We do not want to be at the top. I'm not trying to conquer the community, okay? But this is my program. I spent resources trying to get it up, and it was not easy, all right? This is not a discussion on whether or not the community will have access to this tool, because they will not.
So, like I was saying before, and there's no guarantees you're going to help the community. That's a risk that people are going to have to take. And with this community, it's full of risks. Every day we make a decision that is risking our clan's reputation or even our clan's general fucking being. That's just how it is. We make those decisions. And what I'm trying to point out is that there are more flaws, potentially, than there is positive outcome. And it's so clear to see that. It's immensely clear.
Is it though, Dakota? I mean, like I said, we're getting off topic again. We can sit here and hypothesize all day long. It's like I stated earlier. Okay, I can hypothesize that eventually someone may hack into the community and rule it with an iron fist by being able to lag anybody offline whenever they want. So I'm just going to declare war on every clan in the community and try to demolish them so we can, eliminate that from ever happening. You can't stop stuff like this from ever, never happening. That's not how life works, okay? We can't do that. Now, what we can do is we can look at, okay, what is realistic, okay, in what we have right now. The situation is that the UNR has a mass recruitment tool. Now, how are we going to handle that information? Are we going to let the UNR use this only for themselves? Are we going to ask the UNR to completely demolish the program, right, because it won't be fair for other clans? Are we going to ask the UNR to kind of let the community have some access to this in the form of the community map? Stuff like that, okay? I cannot give you a guarantee that these messages are going to be sent because it's server side. Okay, I can show you the code that we're putting in, like send 60% of messages equal blah, 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 join the clan community instead of 60% equal join UNR, but I can't literally videotape my web developers putting this in there, right? And say, hey, we're never going to change this. All right, we'll send out the message. We have no reason to not to. We're not going to be taking in 2 million recruits, all right? We're not going to be recruiting thousands upon thousands of people because it's not realistic, okay? I will not be diverting the time and the resources to make a community map to never use it, okay? And by the way, the messages, right, 60 to 70% are going to be for that, all right? Which means that I can guarantee you, almost everybody in the community is on this database. Right, you give me a gamer tag, I could look it up, I bet it's on there. I can guarantee that 60 to 70% of these messages will be for the community map, not for the UNR. So I can guarantee you that at least a couple people in the community will get the message saying, go look at the community map thing. All right, now you have to remember, it only sends one message. You will not get both, never more, because we don't want to spam people. That's the final point. I cannot guarantee you anything more. Right? I mean, the oversight that you want is not realistic. Okay, that's like me saying every clan leader needs to give me access to their roster and their infrastructure and their intelligence agency because I want to make sure that they're not doing anything bad. No, that's ridiculous. No one's going to agree to that. It's the same exact situation here. That's as much as I can say on that issue.
Well, I think with that, we're just going to wrap up now with final thoughts. Try and keep these to about 30 to 60 seconds, and then we'll go from there. So, Puffy, let's start with you. Final thoughts, anything else you want to finish up the show with?
Okay, so again, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into this. I'd like to thank Will and you, Noble Spartan, for giving me the opportunity. But the facts are clear, and this is in clear violation of the terms of use. Now, whether or not we debate hypotheticals, it's just a theory. But the facts don't lie. The fact is that it breaks multiple points of the terms of use. And if we're to be examples in this community, how can we go about saying that breaking the rules is right? We can't. That's not how it works. Rules are in place for certain reasons, and I respect that, and I think everybody should, no matter what. That's my thought.
And Will, your final thoughts?
Listen, we've debated several topics. We've repeated ourselves multiple times on this. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. All right, I'm sorry to everybody that's had to listen to me say the same exact thing over and over again. The fact remains that if we're going to punish people for breaking very specific bureaucratic rules, as Dakota specializes in, everybody would have to be punished. All of us have broken one of these terms of service uses or whatever at one point or another. This tool will help the community. It will help me as well. I'm not going to deny that, but it will help the community. And the points being made by people by Dakota and Joe Rose and all these other people are either misinformed, do not understand the program, or completely ludicrous. All right, I hope that you can look at this objectively and see both the benefits and the potential downsides, but also keep in mind that these downsides could happen to anything, no matter what. Okay, be realistic in your hypotheses. All right, don't just think, well, eventually this could happen, so fuck it, let's not do it. That's all I got to say about that. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me.
Well, again, I'd just like to thank you both for coming on the show today. Here's my final thoughts on this. Does the MMP violate the Xbox Live terms of use? Yes, it does, as Puffy has said several times. But as Will has also said, is this the first time people have broken the rules? No, it's really not. But I think that attempting to subject a tool that could potentially bring in a great number of assets and people to the clan community, I don't think that's worth the effort, and I really don't think that's possible. So again, one more time guys, I would just like to thank you for coming on the show. Please leave your thoughts on this topic and let us know in the comments below if you think that this is a good idea to implement an MMP system, or if you think it's a bad idea. So again, thanks for watching Community Tonight. I'm iSpartanFilms. I've been here with LingLing Killer and Puffy, and I'd like to thank you guys for watching.